So remember, you are not watching this video unless you have completed both the calculator tricks worksheet and the GCF lesson. Okay? This is your check. This is for you to make sure that everything you did was correct. Okay? So I'm starting out with the calculator trick sheet, as you can see right here. So here are your answers for the first two sections. Just take a minute, look through them, make sure they are the same as yours. You might want to pause it. That might be helpful too. So pause this, take a look, make sure everything's good. Just be careful on things like this, where it's minus and a negative there. Okay, make sure that all gets in there. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next two. Okay, so you might want to pause this one as well. First one, just converting to improper fractions. So it's that key that's right above that ABC key. You hit the second first, and then you hit that key. And then your fraction to decimal key. I only wrote 4 decimals of each. Some of them will continue on forever. But I was not about to write that many. Okay, so that's fine. Another way to do fraction to decimal is actually to just divide. So you could have just done 2 divided by 3 and would have given you the same answer. Okay? Just nice to have options. So pause this if you need to, check over your answers, and then press play and continue on with me. Alright, so percent and pi. So percent, make sure you're just using that percent key. You have to hit second first, I believe, and then hit that percent key because it's in like the light blue. The first 2 columns here are just you typing that in and hit enter, just converting a percent to a decimal, all that's doing there. And these here are actually doing operations with them, so just make sure all your decimals are in the same place. Okay. And the pi key, again, I only wrote 4 decimal places here. We're not going to write everything. Pi goes on forever, so we couldn't write everything anyway. I didn't round mine. I just wrote 4 decimal places and then left it from there. Okay. So 5 times pi, if you just hit 5 and then hit pi in your calculator, it will still work. But one thing you should know, that on my phone, if I type 5 and then pi, or click 5 and pi on my iPhone, it's not going to give me the same thing. Okay? It's going to give me something wrong. I actually have to hit multiply. So on your blue TI-30 calculators, 5 and then pi works out just fine, but on some other calculators it might not. So just keep that in mind. Okay? Pause this if you need to check out those answers, and we're heading on to the last 2 sections here. Okay? So you have the caret. That caret allows you to put any exponent you want. Exponents can actually also be negative. You will learn about that at the end of the year with me or in 8th grade next year. Okay? So all you're doing is 2 and then caret 3. Anything that has a negative inside parentheses, you need to type in those parentheses. So it should be typed just like that. Parentheses, negative 18, close them, caret, and a 3. But these ones have a negative outside of the parentheses, so you just kind of ignore the negative at first, do your 3 to the 4th power, and then plug that negative back in the front. Okay? And then your challenge questions. Did I skip a section? I think I did. I forgot squared. Sorry for my singing there. Weird as usual. So here's your squared as well, so you're just hitting the x squared key all the way through here. Okay? That's all that is. So check these 2 sections here, and then go ahead and check your challenge questions. I believe one of them, I believe it's number 4, didn't work out in your calculator, but if you had done pi divided by 5 times the negative pi divided by 5 times 2 7/8, it would have worked. But for some reason, it doesn't like having pi in that fraction, and it kind of freaks out and says error. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Everything else should be just fine and should give you these here. One last thing I forgot to talk about. Up on the top section, negative number 16. Again, your calculator freaked out on this question. Okay? Doing this question as -2 over 3, or with a negative on the outside, is going to give you the exact same answer as the 3 on the bottom would have given you. Okay? So you could have switched that one up there. Because, again, the calculator freaks out. It does sometimes. Okay? It's not as smart as we think it is. So just make sure all of your answers are checked at this point for all of them, including your challenge questions. And then we're going to move on to the GCF one, which was your lesson from Tuesday, and go over those. Okay? So here we are here. Your greatest common factor for 10 and 15 is just going to be a 5. Okay? So 5 times 2 gives you 10, and 5 times 11 gives you 55. There's nothing higher than that they have in common. Okay? Yours should have the numbers listed. It should have 1 and 10, comma 2, comma 5 for this one here, and then 1, comma 5, comma 11, comma 55 for this one. So you should have those factors written out first, because that's the steps we talked about on the front. Write your factors out, find the highest one. Okay, so here, highest one is actually 2. So you don't have any larger factors of that go into 12 that are going to also go into your 50. Okay. Number 3, it's 8. It's allowed to be one of those numbers. It's allowed to be 8 here, because 8 it still is a factor of itself. So it is allowed there. One thing I did talk about with a couple people is that when you write out your factors, your first and last number, your first number is always going to be 1. First factor, no matter what you do, is 1. Your last factor is always going to be the number you're talking about. So our last factor here is 8. That's always going to happen, okay? But altogether, these give you 8 and 48, so it gives you 8. Number 4, I think a lot of you forgot that 6 times 12 is 72, so you forgot that one there. So you just got to be careful of that. It helps to go in order so you don't forget things. If you need to divide on the calculator, do 72 divided by 6 to see if it's a factor. That is all fine. You got to do that, though. Okay? 5, this one I believe is 2. If I'm wrong, please tell me, but I couldn't find any other factors in that one. 6, we also have 2. Here's the rest of the page. So 7, the largest factor for both of these is going to be 5. So 70 doesn't have that many factors. It's 1 in 70, 2 in 35, and 7 in 10. Only one that shares, oh, and then 5 and 14. Wow, more than I thought. Only one that shares it with 15 besides 1 is the 5. Okay. 8. 35 times 2 is 70. So that's it. You're done. You got that 35. Okay. 9. I know I gave someone wrong advice on this one, I believe, because they forgot some of their factors here. But for 63, you have 7 times 9. And for 108, whoops, that's not what I wanted it to do. For 108, it's actually 12 times 9. So 9 is going to be a factor. So I think some people forgot that, and they ended up putting the GCF as 1, which is not true, because it is, in fact, 9. Okay. 10, we have greatest common factor is 9. Okay. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. 11, greatest common factor is 12. Hopefully some of you didn't forget this on either of them. 12 times 3 is 36, and 12 times 5 is 60. Okay. Over here, we just have 5. Okay, so 65 doesn't have a lot of factors. It's 1 and 65, and then 5 and 13. That's all it's got. Okay, so the highest one that they have in common is that 5. 13, it's another 2 here. Okay, that's all. Just another 2. I was going to say more, but I lost my train of thought. And then 14 and 8. So there's 7 and 8. So you have 1 and 7, and that's all you have there. And then for 48, we have 1 and 48, 2 and 24, and then 7 and 8. I said one thing, and then typed another. You're not 7 and 8. Wow! I almost did that wrong. 6 and 8. 24, 48. Okay. So that 48 does not have anything in common with the 7 besides that 1. So that's why this does have a greatest common factor of 1. And that's going to happen. It sounds weird to say that the greatest common factor is 1, but that does happen, okay? And then 15. So there are 4 quarters in $1. There are 25. 4 times 25 gives you 100. And so that 25 is going to be your greatest common factor. There is a score section here. If you want to score yourself on that, you can. It's not a requirement. But at this point, I do need to see both of your worksheets, see that they're completed and corrected. If you did not correct them, rewind this video, go back and correct them, because you should always be correcting things that you are basically given answers for. Okay? This way you have correct stuff to refer back to study from. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless to do something wrong and then not correct it. Okay? It really is. So at this point, you can work on stuff you owe me. So you're going to get individual student or missing assignment reports. Sorry, I forgot what they're called. You're going to get missing assignment reports. So once you get that missing assignment report, look for anything you owe me on there. We've had some homeworks, not a huge amount, but we've had enough homeworks at this point that some of you do owe me, unfortunately, a lot of them. Okay, so the rest of the class, if you have time left still, is going to be spent doing that for me. Okay? So I did have a couple requests to see my house, but the problem is you're only going to see it on this teeny tiny little bitty screen. So I will do that another day for you. Okay? I'll do it for you at some point next week. Alright, so go ahead, close up your Chromebook if you would like, leave it open if you want, so you can message me, whatever. But you are getting to work on something else now. Alright, bye guys.